Hey everyone, once again I have my Captain Dork headset on, so that means it's time for the tutorial. Okay, now as promised, I told you guys we were going to I'm going to show you how to do a project out of cardboard today, and hopefully it turns out the way I want it to because, well, it's going to be an experiment like I was telling you guys. Now, to start with, I want to show you what you're going to need. Now, you don't have to print your plans off, but it is going to need to have them. But what you will need is you will need a bare minimum, some scissors. You'll need, hopefully, a utility knife. You'll need a ruler. You'll need some brads. These little guys right here. Hopefully you can see them. And it would be really handy if you can get a square of some kind. The square is really going to help you make this thing. It's going to help you make this thing well. Okay? So the first thing we want to do is we want to look at our plans. So we can see here that according to our plans, we need to create a shape that looks like this. Okay, we can see this shape right here. The problem is everything is in millimeters. So the first thing we're gonna have to do is convert everything to millimeters. Now to do that, what you're gonna do is you're gonna take this number, divide it by 25.4, and whatever your end result is what your inches measurement is. Now I'm not gonna go through and do this because I want you to do this on your own, but you can do this easily by just taking whatever number you have here and dividing it by 25.4, and that will give you your measurement in inches. This is also in the outline on Google Classroom, so you should be able to see it and complete it on there as well, okay? Now, the biggest thing I want to show you guys is how to make the corners, because the corners can easily trip everybody up. Because you can see here, this thing would start as a whole sheet of paper. You can see here that we can cut a rectangular sheet of paper out or cardboard out like this. Okay, so what we have to do is I want to model for you guys how to make a corner. And to do that, first thing I'm going to need is a pencil, which I forgot to get. So I'm going to grab a pen, hopefully. There we go. Now I have my pen, now I can start drawing everything out, okay? So the first thing we can see here is we want to make a rectangular piece of cardboard that we can cut our whole sheet metal project out of, okay? And we can see here that according to my little sketch, we can literally just take a piece of cardboard and cut it out that big and then cut the corners out. That's what we want to do. So the first thing we want to do is we want to cut our corners out. I'm going to show you how I want you guys to do that. So I'm going to want my project to start as a flat sheet of cardboard like this, okay? So the first thing I want to do is I want to measure my corners. I believe the corners are about 4 inches by 4 inches. Now the problem is the corner itself maybe 4 inches by 4 inches, but we have to account for this little guy right here. So this is probably going to be 4 inches from here to here, but it's probably going to end up being an inch from there to there. So that means that this length will probably be closer to 5 inches, okay? So to do that, actually I was wrong. This is probably going to be, let's see, 75 millimeters. Divided by 3, that's probably going to be about 25. So this will be actually about 3 inches. So this will be 3 inches by 3 inches, and then this will actually be 4 inches along here. So we'll do 3 inches here and then 4 inches here. So I'm going to take my ruler, okay, and the first thing I want to do is I want to measure out 3 inches, actually 4 inches, sorry, 4 inches this direction, okay. So measure out 4 inches, and then I'm also going to measure out 4 inches this direction. Like I said, you don't have to have a square, but it does help make your lines straighter, okay? So my first marking is going to be 3 inches approximately, because that's about what it's going to be. So I want to make this a dashed line, okay? So that's going to represent this line right here. It's going to be this line right here. The next thing I want to do is I want to measure in 3 inches up here. Okay, and now I want to measure down an inch. Okay, and now I'm going to draw in my dashed line. Actually, this is going to be a solid line, my bad. This will be a solid line, okay? And the next thing we want to do is we'll actually want to draw in our angled line. Now, this will probably be about 1 inch by 2 inches, so I'm going to just kind of guess. I want you guys actually measuring this but for time's sake, I'm just going to guess it for now. I'm going to guess that's close to 2 inches. Okay. And this will need a tab as well. So what we're going to do is that's going to represent, so you can see here that I've started making this cutout right here, like that. I've made that cutout right here. Okay. The next thing I want to do is I want to draw in this tab right here, because this tab is going to help us assemble everything. Now to do that, I'm going to make the tab, let's go with 1/2 inch. Okay. So I'm going to make my tab 1/2 inch, which means I'm going to come in from either side 1/2 inch. So I'm going to look at this. I'm going to go 1/2 inch there, 1/2 inch there, and then we're going to go up 1/2 inch, and we're going to go up 1/2 inch. Okay. This will allow us to draw in our angles for our tabs. Okay. Now, the next thing I want to draw in is I want to draw in this fold line right here. So 250 millimeters, that's about equal to, let's see, 25, 3, say it's about 10 inches. Okay. So I'm going to just estimate that's 10 inches, which means it's going to come out to about there. Okay. Which means that I want to do my 3-inch mark right about there. So that means that this line is actually going to be a fold line. This is going to be a fold line long like this. Okay, so now I have my fold line. So now my next step is I want to mark in my other 10-inch increment. So I'm going to go the opposite way of the ruler. So I'm going to go 12 to 2. Okay. And that means that I'm going to mark my other fold line right like this. Okay. And now I can draw in my other tab. So my other tab will be there to there. Okay. I'm going to make a 1/2-inch tab. Which means my tab will look something like this. That. And since this will actually get cut out, this will actually need to be a solid line, so I can cut this out. Now, when you guys do this, I want you to actually do the measurements that are on here to make sure it comes out exact. Okay. So now that I have that, I can now work on my other part, my other side here. So I know that I want to come down 3 inches again. Okay. And I'm going to want to make this 4 inches to the cut. So 4 inches is going to go there, but it's going to stop there at 3 inches. So this cut line will go here. Okay. And then I'll want to extend this cut line to my 2-inch mark there, which gives me my line like that. And as you can see here, I didn't do it exactly to scale, but you can see here on this that I've replicated this half of the box right here. Okay, so we can see here I have my 2 tabs. I have this tab here, which is this tab here, and this tab here. I have my fold line, my fold line, my fold line, fold line, fold line, fold line. Okay, now I can start cutting things out. Okay, now obviously when you guys do this at home, I want you marking the whole thing out. I don't want you doing just half of this, because ideally when we're all done, you should be able to mark out the whole thing when it's all done. And I actually want to continue this line right here, because this will actually help us put things together. So this will be another fold line right there. And this will also be another fold line right here. Okay. Now I'm ready to start cutting things out. And it really helps to have a nice pair of scissors, which I do not have here, but these should get the job done to cut this out. The nicer pair of scissors you have, the easier job you're going to have cutting this out. Because I can tell you right now, having a dull pair of scissors like the ones that I have here in class that students have regularly beat on for the last several years does not make it very easy to cut things out with. So if you have a chance to get a better pair of scissors from like Home Depot or something, some scissors that are made for like industrial settings, that will actually make your life significantly easier. But with that being said, you don't have to have the super strong scissors to cut these out because these will do the job just as well as you can see, mostly as well as you can see. We're going to cut that, like that. There we go. You can see here. And now I have my little tab, okay, and I have my corner here. So if I wanted to keep going, now I would do my other side. I don't know how much more of this I want to do, but I guess I could do it. These things are not easy to cut with. Okay, continue cutting this guy down here. All right. Okay, so that's as far as I want to go with this thing for now because that'll allow me to get my folds up and allow everything to line up the way I want it to. So now we can see here that what I've done is I've essentially tried to recreate this half of the box up here. Now what I want to do is I want to create what's called score lines. And this is where the knife's going to come in handy because what you're going to do with your knife is first off, don't cut yourself and don't cut towards yourself. So make sure that you follow some basic rules with the knife. But you're going to do a real basic cut line like this. You're basically scoring the paper just enough so you can fold on it. You don't want to cut all the way through. So you're not pressing super hard on this because if you press too hard, then you will cut through. And if you cut through, then you gotta start all over again. We're cutting it just enough so that way it makes it easier to fold. Because right now, as this thing is right now, they're not super easy to work with and they're not super easy to fold. So by making a score line like this, it makes it much easier to work with. Okay? And I didn't make a very good score line there. I'm going to continue that on like that. There we go. Okay. So now what I can do is I can take my score lines, and if I did them good enough, I should be able to bend them, which I can't do because I didn't do a very good job. So I'm going to do this again. Okay. And this may take some practice because I'll tell you right now, it's kind of looking like I may have cut all the way through on some of these. So like with this one, another trick you can do is find the edge of a table that's sharp, not like mine in here. Let's try this one over here. Try to find a sharp edge of the table like this. There we go. See that? Got a sharp edge, you can bend it a lot easier. Do the same thing here. Find your sharp edge of the table. Okay, there we go. Yep, that'll do it. Okay, now I want to do the same thing with this one. I don't have to, but mostly, actually I do want to do that. I'm actually going to want to continue that cut all the way down on this one, so it'll make it easier to fold. So I'm going to make my score line go the entire length here. And do the same thing here. Make my score line go the entire length. Okay. Now I should be able to come back. My table here. Fold that. And fold. Come on. Good. That. There we go. Last thing I'm going to do the fold that we really want, which is this one. Like that. Because now what we can do, come back to our work area, we can fold our tabs in like this. Okay. And now is where things are going to get kind of tricky. Because what I recommend you guys to do is I'd also recommend you to get some masking tape if you have access to it, because this will also make life easier. And this is not very good masking tape, I can tell by looking at it. So I'm not going to use that masking tape, so instead we'll use Scotch tape that we got right here. So we're just using tape to hold this in place, because what I don't want you guys to do is rely on the tape to actually hold the thing together. So the tape is only going to hold this in place. I'm going to put some tape on like that. Okay. And I'm going to put some tape on there. All right. Now we can put some tape on the other side. Okay. Now you can see here that we actually have this little tab on the inside here. Hopefully you can see that because we have a tab on the other side here. That allows us to actually have a point where we can punch through and insert the brad. Matter of fact, we might not even have to punch through with the brad. So if we have a little brad that actually has a good point on it like this one, we should be able to actually just push the brad straight through both pieces of cardboard. Come on, you can do it. Come on. Not quite. Almost there. So let's try another brad. So that one's 100% on me. So we'll push the brad through both pieces here. There we go. Got it. So you can see here the brad went through both sides. Now we can come to the back side of the brad, and we can bend the tabs over on the back side of the brad here, like that. Okay. And now we have our first brad in. So now we can come back here with a better brad. We're going to push that through both sides again. And it may take some fooling around, but it should eventually go. And that didn't want to go. So I'm gonna, sometimes you may need to like poke it a little bit to get it to go through. And we'll see if that helped at all. Not really. I'm not getting through. You may have to get creative again, like I said. There we go. Now we're going to poke the brad through. Yep. We got to turn it a little bit. Once we get through, we want to be able to bend it back. So we want to be able to bend it back like that. Like that. Now we have two brads holding in our first tab. We'll do the same thing over on the other side. So probably use the scissors to start with on this one. So I'm going to poke the scissors through one spot. Okay, come on. Be careful when you're poking these things through so you don't stab yourself in the finger, because I almost did just now. We're going to put the brad through. There we go. You're going to bend it back. Like that. Okay. And you're going to do the same thing on the other side on the top up here. Okay. Poke the brad through. There we go. Now we can bend it back. That. And like that. Okay. Now you can see here, we have our little box, and it actually doesn't look too bad. Okay, we're able to make our corners, we're able to make our joints, and hopefully it didn't cut too deep where you cut all the way through, and it works. So you're going to continue on your own. You're going to make the rest of the box. You will also have to make the handle. So you will need another piece of cardboard to make the handle out of, because the handle is going to go across the top of the box like this, and you're going to put two brads on the side of the handle, here, here, and then here, here, and that's where the handle is going to be held in place. Okay. All right. If you have any questions, you know how to get a hold of me. Good luck with this. It's going to be an experiment, guys. All right. Thank you.